Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is brush out my brows, and I'm using my Anastasia Brow Wiz on the spoolie end, and I'm just gonna brush the front of my brow like upwards, and then the rest like kind of to the side. And that just helps like get everything in line and like easier to see when you're filling it in. So then I go in with like the pencil side, which by the way, I'm using the shade Ebony. So then I'm just gonna start filling in my brow, but the first thing I do is I start underlining my brow, and then I go in and do everything else last. So the first thing I do is just do a line underneath the more sparse area of my brow, and you'll see where I go from there. You can start out really light-handed and then build it up because you don't want to go in like really harsh right away and like mess everything up. So then I just go along the rest of my brow and I start underlining it. And I also kind of just fill in any like empty spots that mess up the shape that I'm going for. And then at the end it's pretty sparse, so I just like kind of fill it in. So now that my brow is like underlined, then I move on to the top. So I don't really like fill anything in up here. So I start in the middle, and I don't really ever do a straight line. I just do strokes. And I just kind of start filling in the top and getting it to the shape that I want it. Over here I have kind of like a sparse area of my brow, so I just kind of fill it in with the pencil and I get it to the shape that I want it. And then since I do wear oil on my face, it's easy for me to do this, but you could also just take a makeup wipe. But if I mess up a little bit, I just take my finger and kind of like clean it up like that, and all the crap comes off on the side. So then I go into the middle and I just start doing small strokes to fill it in because I don't want it to be too dark or harsh. The whole reason I changed my brow routine was because my brows are pretty full naturally, so I felt like using dip brow and having such a harsh eyebrow was just a little bit too much for me. The key is using a light hand because with your eyebrows, like there's kind of no going back if you go too hard. So now that that's done, going back to the front to get it to not look so horrendous, basically what you want to do is take the pencil and start at the bottom and do some like really small flicks upwards, and it's gonna look like hairs. And again, do this with a really light hand. So once you're pretty much filled in, I just take the spoolie again and I just go through my brow one more time to make sure it's all blended. Alright, so now we're going to clean up the brow, and to do the bottom of my brow, I use Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and I'm in the shade Light Sand, which is, as you can see, way too light for my face right now, but when you use it underneath your brow, it doesn't really matter because that area is like highlighted anyway. So I just like put a dab of it onto the back of my hand, and then I take this really skinny flat brush from Tarte, which doesn't have a name, so I'm assuming it came in some sort of set, and I just dip into the concealer and I get it all over the top of the brush. And then I'm just gonna clean up the underside of my brow, and I just start at the front and I just draw a line basically. And then I just drag it down. So then to blend it out, I use this Real Techniques base shadow brush, which is like this fluffy small brush, and I just blend out the bottom, and I try not to get too close to the top so I don't mess up the line I made. And I kind of just flick upwards here so that it cleans up the outside of my brow. So now onto the step that makes all the difference to me, in my opinion, is cleaning up the top. So I don't use the really light concealer on the top of my eyebrow because it's just way too light. So instead I use my foundation, which is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the shade Honey. And I'm going to do basically the same thing. I'm just going to put it on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to dip my same flat brush into it. And I'm just going to clean up the top of my brow and make it more defined. So once it's cleaned up like that, I go in with the same Real Techniques blending brush and I just blend out the top. So that way, when I put on my foundation, I don't really have to go anywhere near my brow and like risk messing it up. So then I just take my blending brush and I kind of just like dab it at the front of my brow, and that kind of like blends out the color so it doesn't make it as like harsh of a line in the front. So then for the final step, I use my Anastasia clear brow gel, which I actually just got, so it's my first time trying it. I just brush it up in the front and then kind of out and up as you get to the end of the brow. And this helps keep my brow hairs in place all day, which is key because I have like long hair and it gets very messy throughout the day if I don't do this. So this is what both of my brows look like when they're finished. Obviously I don't have any other makeup on though, but be looking forward to a back to school makeup tutorial very soon. I don't know about you guys, but I like these brows way better than my old like very bold, very overwhelming dip brow eyebrows. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.